The sink had been leaking all day. Lerato noticed it in the morning but told herself she would fix it later. There were lunches to pack, school shoes to find, forms to sign. The tap could wait. Everything could wait. By the time she came home from work, the house was dark and silent. Her daughter Naledi, 6, was already asleep on the couch, still in her school uniform, thumb tucked into her sleeve. Lerato didn't wake her. She lifted her carefully, carried her to bed, and covered her with the thin blanket that still smelled like washing powder and sunlight. "Tomorrow," Lerato whispered. "Everything tomorrow." In the kitchen, the tap finally gave up pretending. Drip, drip, drip. Lerato opened the cupboard under the sink. Water had pooled there, soaking old grocery bags and a stack of unpaid bills. She stared at them. Electricity, school fees, rent. Her chest tightened, but she breathed through it the way she always did. Not now. Not tonight. She grabbed a towel and knelt to mop the water. Her knee hit the cold tile harder than expected. Something inside her snapped. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just enough. Lerato sat down on the kitchen floor, her back against the cabinet, wet towel in her hands. At first, she didn't cry. She just stared. Then her shoulders started shaking. She covered her mouth to keep quiet out of habit so she wouldn't wake Naledi, even though the bedroom door was closed and the walls were thick. Tears fell anyway. They came fast, heavy, angry. "I'm tired," she whispered. "I'm so tired." She cried for the nights she'd slept sitting up. For the meals she skipped so Naledi wouldn't notice the food was running out. For the questions she answered with smiles when she wanted to scream. For the father who promised and disappeared. For the version of herself that used to laugh easily. Her hands trembled. "I'm doing my best," she said to the empty room. "Why doesn't it feel like enough?" The worst part wasn't the money. It was the fear. The fear of getting sick and having no one to step in. The fear of making one mistake she couldn't fix. The fear that Naledi would one day remember her not as strong but as tired. Lerato pressed her forehead to her knees. For the first time in years, she didn't stop the tears. She let them soak into her sleeves, onto the tiles, into the quiet. From the doorway, "Mama?" Lerato froze. Naledi stood there, hair messy, eyes half open. Lerato wiped her face quickly. "Go back to bed, baby." "Mama's fine." Naledi walked over anyway. She climbed into Lerato's lap like it was the most natural thing in the world. "You're crying," Naledi said softly. Lerato nodded. "Just a little." Naledi wrapped her arms around her neck. "It's okay," she whispered. "You always tell me it's okay to cry." That broke what was left of Lerato's control. She held her child and cried harder, not from pain, but from release. Later, Naledi fell asleep against her chest. The tap still dripped, the bills still waited, but something had shifted. Lerato stood slowly, sore and exhausted, and carried Naledi back to bed. Before turning off the light, she whispered something she had never said out loud before. "Tomorrow, I'll ask for help." The world would still expect her to be strong in the morning. But tonight, on the cold kitchen floor, she had allowed herself to be human. And that quietly saved her.